Hey everyone, welcome back. Thanks for joining me again. It's been a while since my last video, so I do apologize for that. Probably almost nearly a year now. I do apologize. Anyway, let's get to it. So today I have one of the new HD access points, HD in-wall access points. And unfortunately it's been sitting on my couch for almost a month or two, ready to be installed. So actually I have a bunch of the in-wall pros already installed in my house, so about 4 so far. In my office I already have one as well, but the reason I want to upgrade is, one, I want to test it out to see if the Wi-Fi is any faster. It's pretty fast as it is, so I don't expect much in that regards. But I actually wanted to upgrade to one of these because it has 4 hardline points access, 4 wired Ethernet ports on the bottom of it, whereas the old ones have 2. And so in my office, I haven't got around to installing more direct points down to my switch downstairs. I only have the single app breakout from one of these units, and I have more than 2 things to plug in now. Not to say that things can't run on Wi-Fi, but you know, when you've got an Ethernet cable, use an Ethernet cable. Let's break down into it, and then let's rip this bad boy open. Unless you knew what you're looking for, you could pick up one of these on the shelf. So unless you're looking for the HD part, you could accidentally pick up one of the older ones, which again is still a good buy, but you know, these are a significant upgrade. Anyway. Let's get my trusty iFixit kit out. So here we go, so let's just cut it along there on the top. And just tear that bad boy out. Give it trash. And that's it pretty much. I mean, like, so I haven't actually opened one of these before, so I don't know how much they differ. But as I said, the main difference between these ones and the older ones is they use, as I said before, it's still a very similar design. I think basically the same size by the looks of it from the one on the wall right now. But the biggest thing we have is, let's just take it out of the, looks like a slightly different casing. But the biggest difference on the, as I said before, is that it has 4 ports on the bottom. So the old one has 2 ports on the bottom, and then with one of those is a PoE pass-through. This has 4 ports, they're all gigabits, and one's still a PoE pass-through, so you know, if you still have a voice over IP phone, you can still do that. That's the plates, the mounting plates, and it's designed to be worldwide as far as I'm aware, so everything from a US socket to the UK socket, so like the US ones will use like the top and bottom, and when the UK ones will use the side ones, and then pretty much everything in between, which Ubiquiti do a really good job with their mounting hardware, which is super nice. And then the other upgrade with these things is the Wave 2, and I'm not going to explain how the difference is in it. There's plenty of other YouTube videos. The one that's currently installed, and as you can see, there's only 2 things plugged into it. So let's get started and just rip one of these off the wall. It's been a while since I've taken one of these off the wall. As far as I remember, I think you just pop. Yeah, there you go. Just put the screwdriver over the top. The fascia pops off. I should just use the iFixit kit. It's like 1,000 times better. So, what was here before this is installed, as you can hopefully probably guess, was a RJ45 output. And all I did, and there must have been a reason why I did what I did. Huh. Interesting. Oh, okay. Yeah, so it was a Keystone jack. I couldn't be bothered to you know, rewire it to an actual plug, so I just put a short patch lead on, which then just connects to the back of this. I don't really want to lose these cables in the wall, so I'm going to leave the patch cable attached to it. I mean, maybe someone else can see something different to me, but they look identical. But for the sake of just keeping them both together, I'm just going to replace them, even though 98% sure they're the same. And I'm sure I'm going to get some comments be like, dude, why don't you just leave the same faceplate on there? The pre-wired in the house isn't great. I've actually had to redo some of them already, and I hate these, you know, like, they're not great. I'm not going to mention the company's name, but if you're passionate about networking and you want to wire your house, just do it yourself. It's probably going to be better than some random contractor you're going to hire. New in-wall one with the 4 ports. Well, it looks like the same bracket. A box of mounting hardware. It looks like it comes with more screws. Some screws I don't actually know what they're for. I mean, these ones are fairly going to your wall. These two of these go into the unit. So either it's 2 spares, but I'm intrigued what these ones are for. Guess a case when you, I guess, you know, if I was one of those people who looked at the manual, I would let you know. But anyway, it comes with more hardware than it looks like you need. So that's what I love about the Ubiquiti stuff. They generally think of everything. So remount this. So we have so as I said, I have a couple of these things installed already. Some of them are on the extremities of the house, and we have that was foam insulation stuff, which is, you know, great, keeps the house lovely and warm in the winter and keeps the cooling in the summer. But the problem is, foam insulation is that they kind of don't give you any room to like throw sockets up into the wall, because they put the sockets in and they foam spray around the socket. So like whatever space you got in your socket is the space that you got to work with. So if you need to, if you for whatever reason like need to hide some cable in there, you got to be really creative and make sure you have exactly the right length. And you know, if you need to re-splice or recut a cable, you don't take off more than you need, because you're only going to have to do it once or twice before you are going to have to start fishing new wire through the wall, and that's unfun through hollow drywall, let alone one with foam insulation on it. But you know, I mean, my recommendation to you, if you ever do this in your own house, when you do your in-wall wiring, use the ones where it's like a keystone, point to point. So you terminate your Cat 6 cable or Cat whatever version you want to use into an actual plug, and then you get a keystone which is a plug on both ends. And that way, in the future, if someone like yourself or someone else wants to do this, where they want to use, you know, sort of like an in-wall network point or something similar, and they don't have to do a stupid thing like this and put an extension cable in and try and hide it in the wall. They can just take the keystone jack off and then plug it straight into the back of the unit. Because I don't know whether I went through this or not, but the back of the unit is just a plug. You know, you're not wiring it into this thing. And more than that, it makes it easy to change out face plates if you need to. All right, that is not going anywhere. These don't feel great, these, but all right, cool. There's the old one. These things are so freaking easy, it's hardly worth making a video about it, but hey. Let me plug that into the back of there. Nice, and make sure it's attached. And you ram this cable back up inside. And look, it's booting up already. Oh, I've just worked out what the difference is. So, I don't know if you can see there, one is a standard crosshead, and the other one is, I think it's a star drive. So, you know, these things are like designed for office buildings or for hospitals and like hotels. So I guess they want to try and provide these in a way which, if you want it to be slightly more secure and just stop people like ripping these off the wall, I guess you use the star drive, and it makes it slightly more difficult. But there you go. I'm not gonna lie, I actually think, yeah, no, now it's straight. Camera angle slightly off, apologies, so that's why it probably doesn't look too straight, but it is now flush that way. The only, I think I said about this last time, my only pet peeve of these things is that they're actually bigger than a US socket. I mean, and if you're in the UK or in a lot of other countries where they're square, these things are quite bulky in comparison. But that is pretty much it. So then we put on the bottom of this, you see on the left hand side you have your PoE out, plus LAN 1, LAN 2, LAN 3, and LAN 4. Quick note about this PoE on the left-hand side. It is, I don't know about these new models, but I 100% know, unless they've changed it very recently. On the older models, they're like passive PoE. If you plug it into a machine which has like a computer directly, which has, I think Asus has what's called like a LAN guard, which is basically designed to like stop you shorting your computer if for whatever reason, like a thunder strike grounds through the network connection, and they don't want to nuke your PC. So it's like a fancy basis saying it like it's like a fused or like a short protection on your network cable input. Problem is, because they always emit PoE, it confuses the computer, and the computer thinks there's like power going down the earth line, and then the network cable, port cuts out on, actually I think this trips, and the network port on the computer trips, because it thinks it's like, oh, why is the power on the Ethernet? If you want to use the PoE out on like a fancy computer which has like earth protection on your Ethernet port, you have to use a PoE splitter. Anyway, that was a side note. All right, I've just noticed on the side where those screws are, I've noticed, I guess, this is a new feature of these versions, is that those security screws, I guess you put on here, right? To lock it in. But I'm not going to do that because it's my house. Cool. All right. Next stage, we're going to look at the controller and adopt it, and then we'll go from there. So firstly, apologies about the terrible screen recording. I'll have to see what happened there. Anyway, I also had to do a voice recording over the initial audio for this as well, because it was terrible. So let's get started. So as you can see, there are two devices which stand out. There's the Chris Office, which, as hopefully you can tell, is unplugged because it's grayed out, and up there it says disconnected. And there's the new one there with the hex, with the MAC address is the new one. So first we take the old settings from the previous device. So I did channel mapping in my house to make sure there is as little overlap as possible. And then I tweaked the channel widths as well. And just makes sure there's less interference. I live in a fairly low density area, well, medium density area, so it's just better to make sure each area is the least interference as possible. Unless you're in like a really low density area, the chance of you able to have a wide width frequencies is very low because you're probably going to bash into your neighbor's access points. Anyway, so once you plug in your new device, your cloud key or whatever controller you've got plugged in will generally just see it straight away. That's one of the awesome things about the Ubiquiti system. So it saw it straight away. You click on it and then click Adopt and Upgrade. It'll update it to a firmware update that is fairly modern. So the new unit's finished adopting. So that's first thing. It took a little bit longer than I thought. Maybe 5 minutes at best. Just not enough to make you wait around for that long. So let's go to. So first things first, ports. I have two things plugged in here. I don't know what's plugged in at 10 FDX. Oh yeah, there's a machine asleep, and it just obviously powers down to a lower data rate. Cool. So what we have is, let's go through the config a little bit. So see how I said this, I had different channels set, because automatic, whilst pretty good, it's not perfect, and it does improve over time as it starts scanning a bit more, but for me, it's just much easier to set it to what I actually spent time going through, scanning channels and whatnot. So it says back to the correct channels, these are what it is, and we may notice here on these HD access points, so they have a very wide width. Well, there's 4 channels they can take up, so it's huge. Problem is, you can only ever use this if you're in the middle of nowhere and you're on a corporate campus and you control all the Wi-Fi. But there's no chance you're going to be able to use this anywhere else really. So I keep it on the standard standard channel width, and then I'm going to queue those changes, and then it queues them up. I'm going to do some other stuff as well. Manage device, that's all good. General radios, so set those. I always leave, I think I leave this to low, and then 5G to auto because it doesn't travel as far. So also what I do is I have 2 networks, an IoT network and a standard home network. Some of the IoT devices are super weird, where like if they only see the 5G network, they go, oh, it's not supported, and then it doesn't connect. So you just have to kind of make sure that they're independent and actually only broadcast on the frequency I've set. So when you do this, you are saying that it's not going to broadcast this 5G SSID on the 2G network, whereas home here, because it's enabled on both frequencies, the device will pick. Generally, the device is pretty terrible, so if your device supports it, always try and pick. If you can, always try and set up just a specific 5G network, and then connect to that one. That way, your device will always pick a 5G network over a 2G one. So let's queue those changes, and I think that's basically all they want to do. I think name as well. It's fine if you only got one of these things, but it was called Chris Office, and then save. And update instantaneously, and then we apply changes, and then you should see this update. Yeah, this is interesting. I think it's because it waits and scans the frequency first, and then it moves over. And then what you'll see in a second, when it's after it's provisioned, and then it scans new frequencies, and then changes over, and they should all start clearing up to say it's happy again. This is new. I looked at it on this specific device. The older ones, they didn't have you couldn't turn pass-through off. It was just like I think it was hardwired underneath. So that's super nice. That means this makes it much more versatile. Okay, So all the stuff regarding having to put a splitter in if you don't using PoE, that you can ignore that now. There you go, they switched over. They're still saying there's a problem. That's not necessarily true. This should actually start to chill out a little bit. As you see, like, this is fairly standard on a congested neighborhood. So this one over here is on channel 8, but that's pretty, it's on the other side of the house, so it's not really a problem. I kill my Wi-Fi, turn off Wi-Fi, and then turn it back on again. Super nice. R56, there you go. It just jumped onto it. Cool. Not that these numbers mean much, but TX rate 600, 500, 600, whatever. And that's pretty much it. Anyway, I hope that gave you a pretty good insight about the In-Wall HD Pro. Please like and subscribe if you want to. I don't produce many videos, so maybe subscribing will help you know when I do release one. Again, leave any comments that you have. Happy to answer any questions that come along. And if there's enough, I will do a follow-up video. And hopefully look forward to seeing you in the next video. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.